Good afternoon. Sarah and I are excited to have you here for this Awakening the Feminine Leader in You. And I'm really excited about this particular topic this year. I know many of you who have been seeing me talk and write and post things on social media know I've gotten really connected to this topic about awakening the feminine leader in you. And I want you to think about, even just before we even dive into this, your own leadership style. And if you're thinking of that yin, that feminine leader in you, and that yang, that more masculine leader in you, just kind of tune in for a moment and think about how you've shown up today as a leader, and how much of that has been more feminine focused and how much of it has been more masculine focused. So just be curious about it. We really want to awaken that feminine side of you. I think it's really pertinent, really timely right now for us to play and own our feminine leader, own who we are in whole, because we are women. Why would we want to squash that down? It's a magnificent part of us, and we live in a very masculine-oriented society. So I think right now is the time to bring this up. So let's talk about why feminine leadership. So I have had all kinds of signs and symbols in my world showing up for me, and I know Sarah has too. That really tie to that feminine side of us. And I'm going to start with the owl, because the owl is, if you look up what the meaning of owl is, it's a symbol of femininity. It's a symbol of the moon, of the night, extracting secrets that are within us. There's all kinds of meaning behind that. And my connection to owl started a couple of years ago when I was driving up Highway 74 up to my house. I was driving up through Bear Creek Canyon on a dark night, and I came across, I was coming around a bend, and for those of you who have been up this direction, you know that Lara the Bear is about halfway up the canyon to my house. And I came around this canyon in the dark of the night, and I saw these two green eyes pointing right at me, right in the middle of the road. And I came to a stop because I'm like, oh my gosh, something's in the road. And as I came to a stop, this owl's head pivoted around and looked right at me. And it was like this magical moment when time just stood still. And I was like, oh my gosh, it was like this big, deep connection. And it was large. It was it looked like it was probably 2.5 feet tall. It was, large. And had this moment of connection. And my breath has stopped. I'm like just so in this moment. And then the owl has one big swipe of its wings, and then a second one, and a third one, and by that time it just had lifted up and it was gone. And my husband was behind me, not I don't know, probably a half mile behind me, and this whole like magical moment took place before he ever came up behind me to even see any of this. So it was like this very special moment in time when this all occurred. And so I was like, well, that was like the coolest thing I ever saw. Shortly thereafter, I started hearing owls calling to each other on the hillside above my house. Never heard owls around my house, ever. And I have heard these owls now for probably a year and a half, I'm guessing, that I've heard these owls call. And I wake up in the morning and I hear them on a very, very regular basis, and they call back and forth to each other. And one day, Sarah and I actually had a strategy session. And we were working together all day, not a strategy session, but we were just planning our strategic planning day. And we were working hard in my living room. And lo and behold, I look out the window, and there goes the owl by the window. It like flew down the valley. And 30 minutes later, here it came again. So it's like there's something about the owl energy that is super, super cool. And the more I dug into it, the more I kept associating the owl with the feminine energy. So this was part of my early seeds that, do you remember that day, Sarah, how exciting that was? Like
It
about,
was oh, so cool. I mean, getting, just that whole body sensation, remembering it now. And it's, like these things don't happen just happenstance, right? These things happen for a reason, or at least that's what I choose to believe.
mm-hmm.
And so I like that idea, like this is where the seeds we're planting and the shift is occurring to say, we need to be paying attention to this at a different level.
Right, right. And it's there, and it's there for us to explore, and it's the kind of signpost that if we pay attention to it, it shows up everywhere we turn. And
Right.
so it's just so powerful to start tuning into signs and signposts like these.
Right.
So,
And I think it's pretty interesting, Cami, as I was thinking about today, and where has this kind of shift to the feminine really showed up for me outside of what you just shared is there are two things that stood out. And one of them was a conversation I was having with a friend of mine named Walt. And he's a Lakota Indian. And we were just talking about daughters. And because I had just had Brighton. And he said, right now, we believe that there's this shift and it's the age of our daughters. And there's this feminine spirit and this energy that's just coming in, and like this is really cool that you're having a daughter now and you can join in, and this is so cool. And I was like, oh wow, I didn't even know, I'd never heard of that. And so that kind of piqued my curiosity. And then I started seeing white buffalo everywhere. And white buffalo is also one that represents feminine energy and this kind of new era, if you will, that is now coming into the world. So it's just like, yeah, there's owls, there's buffalo, there's people saying, hey, this is shifting. And even just on my Facebook feed recently, it just seems like more people are talking about that feminine power. So beautiful time to be talking about it today.
yes, yes, and it is. I think what you're hitting on there, and I hear it everywhere I turn, from very wise spiritual leaders to just people really noticing things are shifting. That the time is now for women's spirit, their the gifts of who we are, to step up and make a difference in our world. So I think it's really, really important, and I've actually been tagging this as Yin Rising. So I know you guys have seen me use that, and the signposts and the clues that keep showing up, and keep in mind that in Yin Rising we each have a masculine and a feminine essence to ourselves. And we certainly need the masculine piece, because the masculine part is the piece that gets shit done. It's how we get out there. It's how we are making things. We need to show up in our yang energy, our masculine energy, to do a lot of things. I mean, and traditionally in work environments, for so many of you as leaders, that the masculine, that our work environments, our cultures of our companies, of our society has been very masculine driven. And what I'm seeing now is this shift of, but let's bring up the feminine, that essence of feminine leadership, and start to bring that up and balance that out a little bit more, so that it's not so predominantly male, but it's a much more balanced, and there's a softer side of leadership to be played in. It's that more intuitive side. It's a way, it's really nurturing that intuitive side. And it's fun that it's just showing up in so many different ways. It's showing up in, I can turn on an entirely random, training that I want to dig into. And I was doing something, it was with, the Sounds True year of ceremony. The only one that I've attended off of that whole year of ceremony was all about feminine leadership. And, I signed up with good intention of going to all of them. I went to one of them. And the one that I went to and I turned it on, I had no idea what it was going to be about. It was about feminine, the wisdom of feminine energy within us. And so it's just showing up everywhere, and it shows up in the client conversations. I've had some clients go through some really amazing things that have just blown me off my seat. And so it's all this big changing. It's this paradigm that is shifting, and it's moving into a more graceful, heartfelt, wisdom infused, guided by seeing and feeling and connection. And funny, as I was before I got on this call, because I have been so very busy, I've been in this space of doing and getting things done. And one of the things that I wrote down this morning I wanted more of was flow. And it just dawned on me, it's like flow comes from connection. And that's what we are as women are so good at doing, is connecting and being in connection with each other. So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing some things that will help you tap into your own feminine leadership a little bit, help you think more about what that means to you. And go walk away with some things that you can go play with even a little bit more and be more curious and be open to it. So that's what we're going to be doing today, and I'm excited about that. And I think the other part of it that's really important is when we show up as feminine leaders, as women leaders, we are showing up in our true selves, because that's who we are, right? Versus trying to be somebody else, trying to fit into a more male-dominated society. We get to show and bring our gifts into the world, and our world needs our gifts right now. Believe us.
Heck yes.
And so this is, I love this, is, and this came up, so another one of my signposts that came up, and those of you might know that I like to play with runes, and runes are little stones, and I should have brought those down here with me, but they're little stones that you can draw, and this is one I keep drawing. And it's the secret about you in Rising Yin, is what you are striving to become. In actuality, by nature, you already are, your essence. It's learning to open up the light in you that has been secretly shut away. So this is kind of fits right along those lines. You have a vital voice and a vital role in sharing the gifts of you. And the universe gets all in for you when you are living from that essence of you. So that's the beauty of this, is when you start making shifts like this and you're living into who you are at your essence, you get, the universe is behind you. It's really beautiful. It's very.
Yeah, and there are stories about this whole beauty of feminine essence everywhere, and what we'd like to do is just share a Hopi story now. And if you would like, while I'm reading this, shut your eyes, right? Just kind of tune out the rest of the world and listen. Right? The Creator gathered all of creation and said, I want to hide something from the humans until they're ready for it. It is the realization that they create their own reality. The eagle said, give it to me. I will take it to the moon. The Creator said, no. One day they will go there and find it. The salmon said, I will bury it at the bottom of the ocean. The Creator said, no, they will go there too. The buffalo said, I will bury it on the Great Plains. And the Creator said, they will cut into the skin of the earth and find it even there. Grandmother Mole, who lives in the breast of the Mother Earth and who has no physical eyes but sees with spiritual eyes, said, put it inside of them. And the Creator said, it is done. We're in the midst of a quantum shift, and I believe that an important part of this shift is about women regaining their loving power and channeling it in all the right places. Right? The deepest and most ancient secrets of life lie within the essence of women. Right? And we know this, but today we can connect to it with a completely different quality of energy, with a completely different set of, I wonder what this possibility could mean for me right now in my current circumstance. Okay? And in the book, Womb Wisdom by Padma Prakasha, if I said that right, wrote that the womb is a woman's feminine core, the generator of tremendous potential, vitality, boundless well-being, sensual being, and manifestation. And so let that sink in. And then consider some science, right? We are telling story, and story is a beautiful way to learn. But science, when you have that goes alongside it, can be really amazing, right? And so we're talking about this womb space. And if you just look at the science of the nerve endings in our bellies, it's pretty amazing, right? 72,000 nerve endings in our bellies, whereas only 50,000 are found in the brain. I mean, and the brain is like this powerful, you know, everybody's like, this is where the love is. Like, no, 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 no. Like if you just pull that energy down into that womb space, into that belly, just imagine the power. Pretty cool. I geek out about this kind of stuff, the science and the story. It's like, oh, pretty cool.
Yeah. And it is cool when you can start realizing that you guys have this capacity to really tune in at a deeper level at any point of your day. So, you know, if you're busy seeing clients all day long and all of a sudden, you know, you just need that space to drop back in before you walk into the next one. If you are walking into a new job and you have, you know, new possibilities in front of you, and take a moment, drop in. I'm going to actually lead you through an exercise here that doesn't take very long. It's powerful, and it can put you in a different space in your body so that when you walk into rooms, it's in a different path. It's like you have just dropped into who you are. So,
Hey, Cammie, I have to tell you something that I hadn't even shared with you that I just remembered. So last week, or maybe I guess it's been 2 weeks ago, I was in Columbus for a conference, and I brought 4 millennials to do a panel discussion. And they had never done anything like this before, and they were a ball full of nerves. They were prepared, but they were like, oh my gosh, I have to go sit on this big stage and talk in front of this huge crowd that is curious about what I have to say, right? And so I brought them over to the side, and I just had us put our hands on our bellies, like in that womb space, and take a couple of breaths. And it was crazy in just like the 5 seconds that we took to do that, how their energy shifted. And they had never talked with me about this, or I mean, it was a completely foreign concept, but I said, trust me guys, let's just talk about, you know, let's breathe into this space and really send a lot of love there. And just physically I saw it, and then when they were on the stage, they rocked it. So this stuff that we're going to talk about, guys, so vitally important. So be ready to soak it all in.
yeah, no, and I love that. It's when you feel that those nerves just dancing around, it can totally shift. And it's like Sarah said, you can do it just as simply as by putting your hand on your belly. That's a great way to do it. So right now, get yourself comfortable. Get your body, like, you know, kind of do a nice little stretch. I've got a candle burning here. I actually have just lit some what do you call it, the Palo Santos. And, you know, so I just really want you to drop in and close your eyes. Bring your attention to your hands and shake them a little bit. Rub them together for a few seconds and stir up the energy in your hands. Now hold your hands still for a moment and just feel the energy that is moving inside your hands, in between them. You'll be feeling that in between. Feel the radiation. This is what we call your energetic presence. You can feel that? Now feel your energetic presence that expands up your arms and into your torso. And have your feet down on the floor and feel that energetic presence expanding down your legs into the feet. Feel it in your whole body. Feel it in your shoulders. And just enjoy sitting with this for a moment. And feel this energetic presence expand beyond your physical body. Feel it expand out to a little past an arm's length. And imagine this beautiful ball of light energy that is through you and around you. It's coming up through you and all around you. And feel where that ball of energetic presence stops. A little bit more than an arm length out from your body. And imagine that is the outer layer of your energetic presence. Notice what it feels like to have this, your energetic presence, big and spacious. Feel what that feels like. Now I'm going to invite you to contract that in. Imagining that energy's come in to just about an inch away from your body. An inch away from your skin. And notice what that feels like for a minute. And then expand your energy presence out again, past arm's length. Feel it big and spacious. Notice what's going on in your body. Then contract it once again to an inch away from your skin. This final time, I want you to expand your energetic presence big and spacious again. But I want you to also keep the attention on the center point of your pelvis, your womb space. And this is going to be the center point of right a couple inches below your belly button. And so just think in the middle of your body, in the core of your body. That's the center point. So expand the energy from that spot, from that very center piece of you, and then let that energy grow out so that you're expanding out and full on, you've got the big light globe around you again. And notice how you feel for a moment and just how this differs from just expanding that light bulb. If you start from that inner space. And just really soak that in. Now softly start to blink your eyes open. And we're going to open up lines here so that we can just talk about what you noticed in your body and what you felt. Okay. Marian, how about you? Do you want to start us off? What'd you notice?
Oh, sorry about that. I was on my own mute. What I noticed is I'm actually sitting in a phone booth at WeWork. So I felt like my energy was like bursting at the seams of the walls here when I let it kind of be. And it's kind of a small space. It's probably, like 3.5 feet by 4 feet. And then when I kind of brought it back in, I felt like I was contained in my little nestling position here. So, yeah, I mean, it's a physical feeling of being big.
I love that the bursting at the seams is like it's wanting to creak out the door, right?
Right.
Right. It's like bursting the doors open. It's like, okay, it's power in here.
I know. I was wondering if these guys next to me could feel it.
And could you feel something different? What about when you did the, from the womb space out?
That actually, I feel like that makes me feel more grounded.
Yeah.
So, I felt like I was placing my feet on the floor with more connectedness and sitting straighter. So almost my posture changed.
Yeah.
But I also felt more relaxed, I guess, in a way, but alert.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we can almost get a little bit heady if we start just from here versus if we start from that inner space. Like we can get a little bit heady versus that grounded, like you just plugged into something, right? When you think about, I think this is a good opportunity to touch base with you guys on when you think about how you show up as a leader, working with clients, how you are doing the work that you're doing. You're putting out these big proposals right now. How might you use this?
Well, I had to do a presentation last week, and I did a lot of breathing and posturing before so that I could just get into the right space and to be calm and to keep my to feel my power, but also to keep my nerves down.
Yeah, yeah. And I think certainly the Amy Cuddy stuff where it's like, fake it till you make it kind of stuff is really good. I think taking this just one level deeper is even better. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Marian. That was awesome.
That was totally awesome. Heather, we haven't said hello to you, so I'm going to call on you. Hi, Heather.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Awesome. Awesome, awesome. So what have you noticed going through that?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Some similar feelings that Marian had. I was actually able to stand for it since nobody can see me in my kitchen right now. And so I could really close my eyes and just let myself go. And that kind of like that bursting sensation that Marian had, I had that too, and just felt very, very full and complete. And then, and because I was able to stand, and then we moved the pelvis around, and it was such a nice anchoring of the energy. So it wasn't a demuting of it, but an anchoring and actually making it even more solid and powerful. And when you had us kind of go back and forth, kind of this larger feeling, and then coming within like an inch of the skin, that to me, the inch of the skin felt like, no, I have more. I wanna unleash. But it's a good reminder that I can easily overwhelm folks when I unleash. And so, and it's a good reminder to kind of reel some things in so that I'm not turning folks off.
Yeah, and I think the way I've heard it described, Heather, is that it's contained. It's not necessarily reeled in like you're making it small, because you don't want to make yourself small, but it's more of a contained energy. And
I like that.
And so sometimes that it can be like, if you go out and you just throw your energy and project your energy, and we'll talk a little bit about projecting energy, how that it doesn't feel good when you get projected upon, right? Versus you're standing in your strength. And it's really funny as I'm looking here, I'm looking behind me. Look at this Texas Goonin picture, right? That's behind me. So she was a woman who created films back in like the 1920s, a really cool woman. But look at her, how she stands. You see how she is she's like standing in this core, this solid. So, totally just an interesting piece to look at here, how that, when we stand in our core and our strength, it is a different way of being in our feminine. It's not about being in our masculine. It's about being who we are as women and tuning into it from that space here. So thank you, Heather, for sharing that. And I really appreciate that. So let's go on and consider a little bit further here a few things. And I think this is really spot on to what you were just saying, right? Is so we talked about, you know, what did you notice? What did you feel? Something I want you to think about is, what rooms do you shrink in? Now, when you walk into a room, where do you feel your energy gets smaller? Raise your hand and we'll call on you. I want to hear what rooms you shrink in.
I have to share, I shrink when I go to school to pick up my kids sometimes, or when I'm hanging out and all the other moms are hanging around and, you know, chit-chatting and doing whatever they're doing. Sometimes I feel like, I just need to be small around them, which I find to be interesting that it's around women.
Yeah, yeah. And I remember that too, Sarah. I totally remember being the working mom, and then I'd be with the moms that weren't working moms, and that space would sometimes fill. So I totally get that. Carolyn, you raised your hand. Let's hear what you where do you shrink?
Yeah, I think when I go into a really crowded room, crowded space where I don't know anyone, you know, I just kind of, I don't know, I feel overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And I just want to hide in the corner kind of, and I feel uncomfortable. And that's part of the introvert in me, but it's probably more than that too.
Yeah. What does that feel like when you shrink? What's it feel like in your body compared to that expansiveness?
Oh, there's more of a tension. I'm not relaxed and, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anxious.
Things
not happy.
Aren't flowing, are they? I mean, there's not a lot of flow going on when you start shrinking in like that.
And I'm sure it's even invisible in my face, and then that then makes people kind of want to avoid you, which then just verifies that you don't really belong there, you know. And it's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else have one you want to share? Go ahead, Gretchen. When do you shrink?
Any room in which there's conflict or hostility being displayed.
Ah, right. Totally. There's you're walking in, you know, it's going to be a, you know, not a very good situation. It's like, and what if you were to, you know, in a room that you're anticipating there's going to be that kind of tension going on. What if you were to do this kind of grounding before you walked in? How might that shift things?
Oh, are you asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah, who else? That would probably help.
Yeah. In what sort of way?
It just helps stay centered, and I already am sort of aware of doing this when I'm in an interaction and someone is, you know, leaps into defensive mode. I tend to root down into my feet a little more.
Yeah. Good. Good. And this is kind of hitting on what Heather said earlier, right? Who has fears are going to be too bright and too big? So Heather, you already said this, right? I think you're muted. You're self-muted though.
Yeah.
And I don't want any of you to ever say, "Oh gosh, I'm worried that I'm too much," right? I don't want you doing that. But you can say, "I'm going to walk into this room and I'm going to really come from that grounded, centered space, and I'm going to let my light shine, but I'm going to keep it contained."
Yes.
So yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. So it's about learning to open up to the light in you that's been shut away. And whether it's secretly shut away or it's just really about letting more of you out, letting more of that light shine through. And that is where the magic is. That's the magic of you. And is learning to turn on that light when it's been shut off. This is one of the biggest lessons that we can, that we can play in today is how can you let that light shine out from you? How do you move and walk through that in that sort of way? And so questions as I'm, as we're moving through this is how do you want to impact others around you? And when you think about this light of you, what light in you wants to shine out into the world? What do you want to be known for? What's the legacy you want to leave in your family, in your work, in your world? It starts from that inner space. So just jot down a few things on that for a moment. What's that inner light of you that wants to be coming out? And when you think of you as a female leader in the work that you do, what light wants to shine through you? What wants to come through a little bit brighter, a little bit more than in the past? Would love to hear from a couple of you on that. How about you, Debbie? We haven't heard from you for a little bit.
I'm like feverishly writing. So I want to be known for that I care to empower women, and that's a lot of the heart things that I've been like working through like really vigorously the last couple of weeks, trying to determine what my new business is going to be. And I want my legacy to be that, on my dying day, when people are like, wow, Debbie, what did she do? I want it to be, spoken and told that I helped so many people, and that was an excellent example that everybody wants to go and strive to be like that and pass that on to where, just something where I'm going and changing the world in a way to help shift for world peace more than the day I came into this world.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, that was
awesome.
So nice.
It's totally
I love
awesome.
To hear you say that, Debbie. That was gorgeous.
I don't do small things.
And that's why we love you.
That's right. That's right. And so what is that feminine leader in you that needs to shine? What's the light that needs to shine up? Put a name to that from you.
Be true and honest with my heart and not let fear stop me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because kind of going back to what we were saying before, as far as, who has fears are going to be too bright or too big, the same thing with the energy when you were saying, okay, now bring your energy out to like a 1 inch from your arm's length. Oh, mine was in the next, like on the next continent over across the pond. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll bring it in. And I think in my working life, I've let that out, and then I've gotten the reaction from people of like, who does she think she is? And so I've really shut myself down a lot, and it's been very hard for me. And I want to be able to be that bright light, but be able to ignite other people.
Yeah. And you know what's really interesting? I had a conversation this morning with a woman who's going to be at the Extraordinary Women Connect Gala next week. She's Shonda Berry Johnson, and she works in the mayor's office. So, she's in the government space, and we were having this whole conversation around how so very often we're in environments where we want to show up in our bright light, and we want to show up really authentically in our female essence of who we are, and we put it out, and it doesn't always get received as we'd like it to get received, right? And so there's shifting cultures, and I believe that every single one of you on this call is being called to learn to shine that light of you and step up into it. And yes, sometimes it's going to be uncomfortable. Sometimes it is going to be a little bit, who does this person think she is, or, something along those lines. And that's okay. Know that making shifts and changes in our world and in the world around us requires us to get uncomfortable sometimes. And when you take leadership roles like you're all doing, that means just keep being you, keep doing it in love, keep doing it with the right intentions, keep doing it not to project onto somebody, but to really just be in you and to share your gifts and help bring your gifts into the world. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Hey, Cammie, just to kind of add on that, I think that maybe what we need to do is not allow ourselves to expect a certain reaction and be open to whatever reaction it is that we are receiving.
Yeah.
And learn from that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a really, really good point, Debbie, because I think that so many times we allow ourselves to get attached to the outcome. It's like, oh, if I show up in this way, then I bet everybody's going to behave in this way, and then I'm going to get X. But when we can really put all of our energy around that connection, like we talked about, like the people, and like, that however it's going to shake out, whatever that outcome is going to be cool. Right? And so if we waste less energy worried about that and be present and be our, awesome, amazing, beautiful rock star status selves, right? So excellent point.
Totally.
Love it.
Okay. Does anyone else want to share what light you want to be putting out into the world more as the woman leader in you? Carolyn, you're about ready to take a new job.
Yeah, I was just thinking I want to be known as a kind of knowledge leader, but, true to, I don't want to become something I'm not. I want to be a knowledge leader, but still leading and knowledge from who I am.
Right.
Not just espousing some dogma or whatever, but, still being true to myself, but stepping up and acknowledging that I know something and people have hired me for what I know and what I can do, and I need to step into that.
Yeah.
And I bet they also hired you, and this is a really important point, because of how you make them feel. Right? Because you said that there's the things that I know and the things that I can do. But I think this big piece of what we're talking about is that feel. Right? That when we are engaging in relationship and that true intention to, serve and to be, awesome, and like people feel that.
Yeah.
So yes, I love where your head is, that you're going to own that you bring massive value for a lot of different reasons. And you don't have to set that aside and say, okay, I've got to, show up for the company culture and take one for the team and, walk their talk only. It's like, no, this is about this whole collective, world, and we get to just play in lots of different fun ways. And I get to do it by being me.
Yeah.
So wise.
And remember, Carolyn, when you did all of your feedback on your strength profile interviews, and how many people came back that they trusted we were just talking about this. I'm trying to remember some of the specifics of it, but they saw in you this trusting person that built relationships, that was reliable, that, those sorts of things.
A sense of calm.
That was it. That was the word that I was looking for. Yeah.
Calm. And they knew that it was like they could relax.
Yeah.
If they knew I was there.
Yeah.
And they could then be more present.
Yeah. So there's that softer feminine leadership quality that I'm talking about. Always own that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
You guys are so good. I'm loving these stories today so much.
Totally. And, we talked a little bit about what I wanted to bring this up as the brand of you is not projectionism. It's not your ego. It's not fear or false pretenses. It's only love. And I think a good example is for me that I like to play in is when I think about when I get on the stage. I could get out there and project something that I'm not, right? I'm not a Tony Robbins. I'm never going to be a Tony Robbins kind of speaker. That is not my style. My style is this feeling, this connection that's happening there and being in that space. And that's how I show up true. And when I first started speaking a couple of years ago, not that I was trying to be a Tony Robbins, but I thought I had to be something different. And that's not true. The more I show up as me and just be me and my light, then I have this connection with the people in the room. And so so it's not about projecting yourself out to people. It's not about throwing your energy on people. It is about being in this contained, powerful, strong space that people go, wow, I feel her energy, and it's coming from you. It's not projecting. And it doesn't mean that you're better than anybody else. It's about you being you, about you being uniquely special. I'm a big believer that we're all one. We all are bringing who we are to the table, to the world, and together we're making our difference. It is about being vulnerable and real and authentic. Sarah, do you want to touch on that one? Because I know that's your word for the year, vulnerable.
Oh, I think it's just about recognizing that you bring value, period, and owning that, and that it's your message, and you're not trying to parrot, you're not trying to mimic, you're not trying to do anything other than to just flow how you know you need to flow, and that there's such beauty in that. And even just last week as I was at that conference and seeing, I think there were 72 different speakers over the 3 days, just noticing how people showed up. Like you could tell when those people were just being them, sharing their personality, not worrying about the formality of like, am I saying the right thing in the right way? Like, no, they were just sharing their message. That's beautiful, and it does resonate from a soul level. Yeah. And so I think you guys are there. It's just having that courage to know that you can do it, and that if somebody doesn't get it, it's okay. Like they don't have to. Yeah. You are going to be magnet, and that's how I look about this. Is like if I'm just showing up in that power core center, like I just pull the people to me. It's like they can't not want to be curious about what the heck it is that I'm talking about, because they're like, man, that's cool. And so yeah, it's energy. Everything is energy. Emotions are energy. And when you are emotionally tied and in love with you and your message and your soul, like, man, watch out. Tribes are coming running.
Yeah. So I want you to pull out your rose if you were able to get one before our call today. And I chose this because I chose a rose because there's a lot of feminine qualities in a rose, and there's a lot of feminine essence in a rose. It's deeply connected to Divine Mother in each one of us. I actually did some work around a rose earlier this year. I think I probably mentioned this to all of you, that I did a 40-day thing where I meditated with a rose and journaled with a rose every morning. And it's really a beautiful thing to be able to do. It's to just notice. So I want you to take a look at it and just notice the characteristics of your rose. Notice, the softness. Notice the, there's a spiral component to roses, right? Notice the leaves, the strength of the whole stem. And then of course there's the sharp points where you need to get sharp. Sometimes you have to be a little bit stronger to protect yourself. So there's all these different qualities of a rose. And what I'd invite you to do is use your rose from a perspective of journal with it, you know, you can play with rose energy in all sorts of ways. I mean, you can do, in fact, I've got some sitting right here. I've got some rose essential oils. You know, so whenever I really want to be really tuned in, I'll use a little bit of rose essential oils. You can, you know, there's just all different ways you can bring rose energy into your world. So a fun way to really, you know, play in this is to do that. And we're not going to have time to give you the journal about this today, but you might after this call. As soon as we're going to give you a couple of different things that you can do. You can do right after this call if you want, or you can, over the course of this next week, play with a couple of these different options here. Write yourself a letter from your rose. What does your rose want you to know? And that's a really beautiful one. I have been a big lover of rose tea. There's a really beautiful tea. I think it's called Tusi, Tusi, and it's really just delicious. So it's just another way to just, you know, keep bringing rose energy into you, and that really starts to just open up to whatever wants to come forth from you.
That's right. And there's a beautiful rose emoji on your phone. And so if you want some technology to help remind you to just take that moment to pause and reconnect to the story of the rose, just put an alarm on your phone or a reminder that pops up occasionally. And instead of putting words or something, you know, to name that alarm, just put a bunch of roses and you see that and you're like, that's right.
Oh, I like
What's that reflection back? So,
yeah. Yeah, it's like treat yourself to roses. I tell you what, since the beginning of the year, I've had roses in my office almost all year long. You know, and they're not that expensive, you know, to treat yourself to a couple roses every week. So a nice thing to do for yourself.
I've been telling all of my friends that are like, oh, I can't, you know, afford to splurge on roses. Like whenever I go to King Soopers to buy dinner, I go and look at the reduced flower, you know, thing, and it's always back in the corner, so you have to dig for a second. But I got a dozen roses for $3 the other day, and they lasted a strong 3 days before they started to droop, and that was a beautiful 3 days for $3. So don't let the money become an excuse. Just do it.
Totally. You
feel good.
Okay, so next month we've got Rita going to be talking about mindfulness, and then in June we'll be talking about the central sexual you. And Heather, we would love to have you feature you on July 18th. We keep talking about this and we haven't confirmed it with you. I don't know if you're around, but are you there?
I am.
There you go.
Yay, okay. So we will love to have you run that jam session that month, because I think you're the expert on this, and would love to hear all that you're bringing into the world around this. So
that would be my pleasure.
Cool.
Yay.
Cool.
Good answer. We've got so much in store, and you know, if there are others that are like, I have some magic that we need to bring to this group, then please let us know, because we can consider, you know, where that might work in with the schedule.
Yeah.
And we're just happy that you decide every month to carve out this time to come and to listen and learn, because I know that there's at least one thing from today that you're going to keep thinking about for the next week and the couple of weeks after that, and that's going to, you know, make you shift. And that's what the beauty of like effectiveness is, that it's just this combination of small little shifts that we can make, you know, each day, each week, each month, each year, that helps us to just, you know, go to that next level of rock star status, right? So thank you guys for carving out this time. And we've got a couple of things for you to consider that you can do after today's jam session. And one of the most powerful things is to just get off of your booty and to allow yourself to go and dance. Right? And if you watch me on Snapchat or Instagram, you know that like, this is a regular thing in my household, right? We have dance parties, and it is amazing. And I watch my daughter, and my eyes well up with tears so much of like, oh my God, she's so gorgeous, because the way that kid moves her body, it's just like, that is special. That is spirit. That is just coming from that soul level. And, you know, again, as we grow older, we kind of, you know, censor. It's like, oh, I don't want to move and look stupid, or have somebody say she doesn't have rhythm or whatever. And so I want you to put on some really great music and just let your body move, and those hips swaying. We were kind of talking about hips, and rose hips, by the way, I thought of as you were talking about all the rose things. I'm always intrigued by rose hips. I don't know why. But anyhow, get that movement going, because we know that, you know, that the hips and the womb, they're connected and so much fun. And just, let that body move. And you guys have probably seen the meme that's floating around about like what happened when people stopped dancing. I think it's like a native proverb or something. It's like, that when people stop dancing, that's when, bad stuff starts happening. Right? And so let some dance out. You are born to boogie, so do it. And then, Cammie, why don't you share the next little piece?
Well, that's it. It's really, I want you guys, as you get off the phone today, go turn some music on and go move. And notice what you feel in your body. If something it feels a little sticky, then kind of work that area a little bit more. But more than anything, what I want you to do is, just Sarah said, just let your body move and don't put your mind into it. That's where the fire comes out. That's where the essence of you just becomes free to go share your gifts out in the world. And that you could do, again, before you're walking into an important meeting, move. I can promise you that, like, before Ignite, I moved in my room. I turned on some music and I moved, and it helps him. It just creates a different kind of thing. So that's our last little tip today, is just go swirl, go flow, go be, and just be the wonderful feminine you that you are, and really embrace who you are as a woman leader. So
that's right. You're beautiful, and there is beauty in that sensuality too. And you should find that your body moving. You might go, "Oh my God, am I trying to be sexy?" Yeah, own it. Don't try to say because that's one of the biggest challenges. And I've been like saying, "God, should I talk about this or not today?" It's like sometimes, like when I feel like I'm getting into my feminine presence, it's like, well, how does that translate to sex? Or is somebody else going to see that as like, oh my gosh, she's putting out the sex vibes or something? It's like, no. There's difference between like owning who you are and knowing that there's gorgeousness inside versus, okay, I just want to put out the vibe of like, come to me attraction, hot, that kind of thing. It's different, right? And so don't hesitate going there because you're like, oh, what if it takes me down this other road. I don't know if that made sense for anybody, but that's been on my mind. And
because we put ourselves into this box of again, it's like we can be in this box of this is how I should behave and move and all these different things. And if you just move more naturally from you, it's real. And you're letting down all the walls. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
And you guys, again, thanks for being here. And if you didn't see today, we also launched a social media freebie. So if there's any entrepreneurs on who are looking for ways to do something new with your social media, go and grab it. It's on both of our Facebook pages. You can download it. It's a free link, and it's 30 minutes easy. So lots of good stuff coming at you from Syzygy World. And with that, y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks for joining us.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.